your kid to listen, your driver to listen to their partner. Because we really struggled with that last year with one boy who just, his partner, okay, you have 10 seconds left, you need to go back and hang, and he's just like, nah, I'm going to keep stacking. And then he wouldn't hang, and it was just awful. So this is just a fun way for kids to practice specific drills in real life scenarios. Put it in your notebook. Put it in your notebook. I just want to see that. Is this me too? No, too.
Alright, so as I talked about before, setting your strategy, coming up with the idea of a compliment bot. So, state world preparations, it's late in the year, you've been doing this for a while, you should have hopefully been to 4 to 6 competitions, and so you know what others are doing. How can you maximize that score? As they pointed out, 110 points, that's all the cues, but then, okay, so where's those extra points that's going to set you apart from? Alright, so make sure you have that in your playbook. Make sure that you practice it, rehearse it. Okay, we're gonna pretend like we already got the 110 points. Go ahead and set those up there. Right? Knock the balls around. Where are we getting our other points from? What's going to set us apart? And just practice that section. At this point, they should be good with 110 points. They should have that down. Right? They should be able to get it every time. So then it's, where does that actually come from?
I wish I would have attached to that. I'll put it in after this, but there's a document that we have where it asks so for next level, last year's game, it would ask, can the team safely grab the bonus up? Can the team, can your alliance stack multiple layers? Can the alliance do a high hang? Yes or no? And depending on the answer to those questions would then drive your strategy. So we would have literally every single possibility of partner and practice that in practice, so that when we get to a competition, we would ask the team, the kids would ask, can you do this, 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 and this? And depending on their answers, then would determine the strategy that the kids would do. It's going to be a little bit harder with this game, because I think the strategies are going to be a million different ways to score. Of course, then put that in your notebook. Put everything in your notebook. Anything else?
Well, so if, obviously, coming up with the idea of if it's a push buy, you automatically know what they're going to do, right? Or if they can focus on the high squares, then obviously you're going to focus on the low. I mean, it's just trying to come up with something that complements. If everybody seems to be getting the green on a regular basis, my team, in preparation for state, is going to build a robot that doesn't do that at all. If everybody seems to be able to do that. That's our goal.
Oh man, this is a tough one. Parent involvement. How many of you guys have had issues with parents during the season at all? Yeah, raise your hand if you've had issues. Okay, I want to take as many parent volunteers as possible to help out as an assistant coach, maybe just crowd control at competitions. I'm not a decorator, so having them decorating our kits, having parents involved in planning the pizza party, getting the hotels and transportation and all that stuff, organizing the banquet for the season. Get as much parent help as you can. But as far as the parents that help out at an actual practice, you need to set clear expectations for those parents. This right here, in all caps, hands off. And I'll tell you a little story that gets my blood boiling and gets my heart rate up even right now as I'm thinking about it. There was a girl I went to high school with, and I wouldn't say we're great friends, but we kept in contact throughout college and even afterwards, and she had a family and had a son, and she ended up posting on Facebook all these pictures, it was a couple seasons ago, posting all these pictures of her son at a VEX robotics competition. I'm like, yes, this is awesome, this is a way for us to reconnect and kind of, reach out and talk, and talked with her and talked with him, and he was just completely sold on becoming an engineer someday because of robotics and how much he loved it. He was just in love with robotics. Fast forward 1 year, and I wasn't seeing anything on Facebook at all about anything robotics related that she was posting. So I reached out again and said, hey, how's your son doing with robotics? And she goes, oh, he's not doing it this year. And I was like, what? Like, I thought he was really, really, sold and bought in. She goes, he was. But, in order to prepare for Worlds, one of the parents took home the robot and completely rebuilt it, and just completely like killed him. And on top of that, also did all the programming as well, and it just completely shattered him and extinguished his fire. And she said, I sent him to 2 camps, and he just wasn't interested anymore, and he's moving on to something else. And that like I can feel like my face getting a little flushed just telling that story, because it warms me up. Their hands have to be off, right? Now, there are times when it's appropriate that your hands can be on the robot, like, you know, the kids, they put like 50 million connector pins in, and they buy a car, and they start breaking your nails doing that, or there is a tool, they need to make a tool where there's 2 I-beams connected together with all of them. I can't, it hurts. There are appropriate times when you're or you're demonstrating something or whatever, but as a general rule, and I know George hits on this all the time, the phrase, what, dad box or whatever? Mom and dad box. Man, it is so frustrating. For us, one of the, I guess, frustrations / coolest compliments we get is when they accuse you of having a dad bot or a mom bot, and you know as the coach for the fact that your kids built that. It's now they're complimenting you, right? Like, they're basically saying, there's no way your kids built that. Compound gear ratios, there's no way, but in reality, they can do a ton of stuff. So, please keep your hands on. The other thing too is kind of a dead giveaway of you maybe being too involved with building the robot is when you are carrying the robot at competitions. Right? And why? Why would you carry the robot? Because you don't want the kids to drop it and break that beautiful creation that you made, right? Make your kids carry the robot. And we're all about learning from mistakes. We talked about that a lot today. We learn from other people's mistakes too. Thankfully, we've never dropped the robot at a competition, but we've seen it happen plenty of times, so that's why we carry a tub. Now, we have a tub just like one of those over there. You carry the robot with the tub. Please, as an adult, or as a parent, or as a coach, whatever, do not carry the robot. That's kind of a dead giveaway. Once you have chosen your team, I always have a parent night beyond the parent night I was talking about earlier, with just the members' parents, just to get their phone information. We have a group text that I'm constantly in communication with them. You can do Remind or something like that. But you just need to be in constant communication with them. I also review the games and the rules with them, because nothing is more frustrating for parents for them to spend 8 hours in the gym and just have no clue what's going on. And so I go over the game, the rules with them, I even pass out little flyers for them. And then here's the big one: set the expectations for the parents in the crowd. Obviously, you can see the little last thing here. How many of you saw that video like maybe a month or 2 ago? When there was like a Little League baseball game, there was like a 13-year-old umpire and he made the wrong call, he was 13. And there was like an actual like 15 people fist fight. Did you guys see that? Anyone see that? We don't want that in robotics. Like, we do not want that. So set the expectations for the parents in the crowd. I cannot tell you, this hurts to say, but I cannot tell you how many parents have said rude or nasty things to my kids simply because they were good. And so I tell my kids, I said, listen, you're going to have a target on your back. You will have a target on your back because you are decent. Let that be the only reason that they don't like you. Let that be the only reason. So we talk about, like, constantly in practice, sportsmanship is huge. Shaking the hands and high-fiving, your alliances and thanking the host at the end of the event. And then making sure the parents sitting in the crowds are actually cheering and not booing your competition. So we don't want any balls. Failure is an option. Who was it that was talking about mistakes and failure being okay? Dallas was, all years.
The king of failure.
Yeah. We live in a culture and a society where failure is not an option, right? We've heard that a million times. Kids hear that all day, every day, in school, at home, in sports. Failure is an option. It is part of the process. As long as you view those failures as stepping stones to success, right? At the end of our season, we had an awards banquet, and I had just random kids wanted to share some of the highlights. And of course, bringing home banners and winning worlds was exciting. All that stuff was really exciting, but what made me really proud, man, we cried like 5 times at our awards banquet. It was really embarrassing. But one thing that really got me emotional.
I'm
You
a crier.
cry? Oh, yeah,
I'm a crier.
yeah, me too. One thing that really got me emotional is that every single kid brought this up. And it wasn't scripted. It was just one of those things where they're just like, you know that hits home to them because their whole lives they've been told that failure is not an option, right? And that was something we talked about every single practice, you know, and you could see their evolution and their transformation throughout the season. You could see it, like at the beginning of the season, something breaks, something doesn't go right, and they're devastated. And they're just like, it's game over, like we're done. Can't fit, whatever. By the end of the season, they were breaking things, making mistakes all day, every day, but their mentality had changed. We're going to use these as stepping stones to our success. So, failure is an option. Make sure you talk about that as long as, like Dallas said, you're using those failures to improve and not making those same mistakes over and over. Any questions on competitiveness? I think that's it. Any questions on that? Yeah.
Do you go to every single match with your kids? Like, say you have 3 teams and you go to 4 to 6 matches? That's a lot.
Like go to the competition?
Yeah, the competitions, or do you have to sometimes designate?
No, I get it.
recommend designating a parent to go.
I mean, that'd be fine if you trust them. I would just make the competition work in my schedule, you know. So I would go, plus I like the fun. And if you structure your team well enough, I guess you technically don't have to go. You know what I mean? Like the kids should be able to do everything pretty independent.
Are you talking about just going to the matches with them?
Yeah, because like I have 3 teams, and
Right.
so you do 4 times 3 is, 12.
Yeah.
So you're at an event,
Right.
but you don't go to the table every time the kids go to the
No,
table?
I mean, you have to, as coaches, because we haven't competed to compete this year, so as coaches, do you go to every single event with your kids? Or do you have, if you're unable, if you're unable to do it, do you have somebody else to go into play? And how do you choose somebody else to go into place, I guess?
I would go to every event that your kids go to. And what Steve was asking is at an event you might have 8 matches. If you have 3 kids and 8 matches, that's a lot to go to. So what I tell coaches to do is if you have 3 teams, you need to find an adult in charge of each team. So if you have A, B, and C, you're in charge of A. Your assistant coach that you hopefully have is in B, and a parent is in charge of C. Because you cannot be at an event at 3 places at once all the time. Because some people will be in the pits, skills, practice, match. So you'll need 3 adults responsible for each team, but you should go to every event.
Are you sending your 3 teams to different?
Well, we have 2 elementary and 1 middle school, because we're a K-8 school.
Okay.
So that's why I'm saying, just logistically trying to figure out how to go to events on a weekend.
So when I send to the tournament, every single tournament, every single match, is one of those right there, that video camera. Because me, myself, or even somebody else isn't a great critic of the kids' match. The kids are great critics of their own match when they watch it in the third person. So we record all the matches. At our tournaments that I host, we actually record the whole tournament and post it on YouTube. It's streamed live and then there for everybody to go back and watch. Because that is what, after one of the responsibilities of our teams after the tournament is to go back and watch the video and analyze all the things that they did right and did wrong. Video is great. So many, I mean, how many times I get into arguments and, with, nobody did do that, or this was, and I'm like, no, you did this first, and then you missed that. No, I did too. You record it, and so then they see it, and they find okay. But they won't take my word for it for anything. They have to see it. So even just in practice, just getting out your phone and recording what they just did, and then just making them watch it again is a big deal. So that video is very important.
You need someone else.
We do have that.
Well, we had 17 last year. He had 11. So it's divide and conquer. But even with 3 teams, you get a kid that's sick, you've got 5 other kids on the team. If you get sick, their term is done. I mean, you need someone to back you up.
There should be a reason not be able to find events that both your elementary and middle school teams can go to at the same time, same place, same time. In Indiana, there's more events than anywhere else in the world for that.
Okay.
Unless, where are you at? Are you central Indiana, somewhere nearby?
Plainfield.
Yeah, no problem. But don't wait until December.
Right.
By December, you won't find those events. They're all full. So you got to be on it, ready to sign up your events early, so you can get those choice events where elementary, middle school compete compete in the same class, same thing.
And then, like you said, I would have an elementary coach and a middle school coach at the very least. You can manage 2 elementaries, but you should probably have another adult managing your middle school. You guys can practice together, but you have a middle school coach.
Well, I do try really hard to get an event where the middle school and elementary go together, but, you know, elementary might be on the top floor and middle on the bottom. So, like last year, I was the only coach, but I'd make it mandatory that all the parents have to volunteer at one of the events to be a pit parent, and you are a pit parent for your child's team, and they get together, and the parents decide who's gonna go at which competition, and they sign up on, you know, we have a sign up for that, and then I have a list of responsibilities. As a pit parent, you're gonna do this, 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 this. You're gonna collect that pizza money, you're gonna make sure everybody has lunch and all that kind of stuff.
Because you have too much going on.
Yeah, but they know what to do after their first, after doing it once, they know what to do. So I always try to get one parent that's done it before, so they can help the next person, and we break it up. We have a morning pit parent and an afternoon one. And then, that leaves me free to go watch the competitions, and they make sure the kids are getting to the table,
So my kids, my teams, I have up to 18 teams, but my kids are on their own for their tournaments, and I'm hosting most of the tournaments that they're at anyway. So if they miss a match, they miss a match. My thing is, my kids are, you know, some of the really young kid teams, whatever, maybe a mom kind of might have to follow them a little bit. My kids are responsible for the schedule, they're responsible for getting their matches. They learn, you set that tone for them, they learn how to get to those matches. If you have a mom always saying, hey, you guys gotta get ready, your match is coming, then they learn, I don't have to pay attention until somebody yells at me, you know, sort of thing. So, and then that's a great thing, okay, sorry.
We're talking about that at the event section, that's what the sub-teams are for, like, if a competition. Yeah,
So the kids are try to make it as much about the kids being responsible. I've had coaches that have come to me and said, hey, you need an adult over here in the pits, and I'm like, well, I'm 30 feet away, is there an issue? It's like, well, they're not really paying attention to doing whatever. It's like, okay, well, I mean, if they're causing you problems, you need to let me know, but otherwise, my kids they're responsible for themselves.
And in practice, like simulated competition, where you put them into their competition seasons and just do a competition in your school for an hour and a half during the entire practice, so that those kids know exactly what their roles and responsibilities are at an actual competition, and then you can just sit back and hang out and guide just a little bit. Yeah.
When do the competitions come up for signing up? Or when is that?
There's some up right now.
August 1st is I think the first early bird is August 1st.
Yeah.
I have them all set to open August 1, so you can see what's been approved right now, they're just not open yet.
So they open up.